Association des joueurs, Daniel Richard, comme à l'habitude, en compagnie de Bruno Gervais et Marc Denis. Association des joueurs un petit peu spéciale cette semaine. Pourquoi? Parce que vous l'avez reconnu, on a la chance d'avoir Bill Guerin, directeur général du Wild du Minnesota et de l'équipe américaine aussi, en vue des Jeux olympiques. Un homme qui était très occupé. On est content de l'avoir avec nous. Et je dis Association des joueurs un petit peu spéciale parce qu'aujourd'hui, on va parler de santé mentale. On le sait, c'est la journée Belle cause pour la cause. On en parle de plus en plus. Et Bill Guerin a été sur différentes plateformes, assez ouvert sur la santé mentale, sur les thérapies. So, Bill, thanks a lot for being with us today. The first question I want to ask you is, we heard you talking about mental health, about therapy on different platforms. I heard you on the podcast Pen and Chicklets. And I want to ask you, how does that sensibility on the mental health, on therapy, how do you think that this help you with your relation with the players and I guess even with the coaching staff as well?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it just helps me in life in general. You know what, I think what, you know, for me, what I've worked on is you know, understanding that you can't be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You're good the way you are. There are always things that you can try to help you create better relationships too with players, with coaches, understanding, being able to look at what's going on, try to see what's going on in their life, in their side of things, and really trying to help them, because this is a really hard life, contrary to what people might think, because you see the games and the interviews and the glamour of it. Yeah. There's a whole life behind the scenes that's very, very difficult, and you know, I think the more you can help yourself, the better.
Mark?
Billy, let me just jump in on there. We played in an era where, you know, you've touched on, you know, therapy starting at you know, towards the tail end of your career when you were still playing. We played in an era where it was more, hey, listen, this is the life you chose. You're the fortunate one. Were you worried of being stigmatized for getting help, for talking about it, for opening up in an era where I guess nowadays, I mean, you've obviously kept up with time being a GM in 2026, but back in our playing days, this was regarded way differently, getting some help and talking about emotions and sensibility.
Yeah, I guess at the beginning I was, I kept it more to myself just because it was kind of my business. But as I moved on in getting therapy, and the more I got and the years kind of went on, I was, the stigmatism to me went away, and I was like, this is great. Like, I feel so much better coming out of a therapy session. I feel more confident. I believe in myself more. I feel like I understand myself more. So, and then in the life of hockey, I always felt like, you know, looking back, the game is easy. Hockey's easy. The playing part is no problem, but confidence is a difficult thing. Peer pressure is a different thing. You know, what fans think of you is a different thing. So a lot of the times it's not the hockey, it's everything around you. And I just thought it was something that players could benefit from, you know, and like I said, it's not just on the ice. It's probably more off the ice that we need it. And yeah, I'm just a big believer of it. And I feel like if I, you know, can push one person towards it or whatever, and it helps them, then great.
Billy, I had the honor to play with you in New York, and you always been a natural leader. You walked into a room, and people kind of turned to you, relying on you, and you were amazing at touching base with everybody, making sure everybody was doing okay. It was like a natural part of your leadership. When did you turn that into, hey, I need to help myself if I want to help others? Was there a moment, like, how did you make that first phone call to say, you know what? I need a little help. I need a little guidance here. Is there someone that kind of got you to make that phone call?
Well, Bruno, I think it was when we lost 20 out of 22 games that year. I think I decided I really needed some help. but seriously, hey, listen, you know how you guys know how difficult it is to see the end of your career coming, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, we always say Father Time's undefeated, and we all love the game of hockey. We're so fortunate to be NHL players, but it does come to an end, and I could feel, I could just feel it coming on, and I knew it was going to be something serious that I was going to have to deal with, and I just wanted to try to get ahead of it. You know what, we were a struggling team, and you know what, I was the captain. We did have a lot of young players, and you know, I felt pressure, and I just wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself, you know, so I could help take care of other people too. But I had to worry about myself first before I could do that. So that was kind of like the timeline of it.
As a GM, you have to take decisions that may affect the life of your players, of their families as well. I'm talking about trade. I'm talking about sending players to the minors. Is it the tough part of your? And how do you do to make these decisions, knowing that it, to a certain point, it can affect their mental health?
Yeah, and that's a difficult part of the job. The one thing that I can kind of lean on is the fact that I had been traded a bunch of times. I had, you know, had to sign in different places, and things didn't always go perfect, but I survived. And I just have to put my faith in those players that they're going to do the same thing, and they're going to have success where they're going, and they're going to be okay. You know what, my children they went through it all with me too. They're okay. You know, my wife, you know, she's a big believer in therapy as well, and she goes on a regular basis, and those things it just helps. But they're going to be okay, and I just have to make difficult decisions, and hey, sometimes it's really not easy.
And one of those most recent difficult decision, although it may not have been difficult, I want you to tell me what we're now a few weeks removed from what was a banger in the NHL here. This was a huge trade. Obviously, ramblings and rumors around Vancouver, Minnesota not necessarily being amongst the suitors, but you know, making meatballs and finding out that the trade has actually gone through with Jim Rutherford accepting your offers there. How you know, just a
Yeah,
few
the
weeks
meatballs
removed
were
from
fantastic,
acquiring
by the way.
Quinn
They were
Hughes.
great.
Were they? Were they?
Yes, they were.
I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie. All beef, or is there a mix in there? Some veal, or
There's a little mixture. There's a little mixture.
all right. I
You
love
can
it.
do a little veal and a little pork. You know, these just
Yeah,
had pork
yeah.
in there, beef and pork, but they were dynamite.
Okay,
But yeah, it
that's
was
awesome. Let's
you know, it was a case where we had some younger players, and you know, again, like I had been traded as a 27, 28-year-old, and it was, you know, a good thing for me. I've got to believe that those young players are going to a team in Vancouver that's going to give them tons of responsibility and opportunity, and their life is going to be good. And the same thing with Quinn. You know, he's switching cities for the first time in his career. You know, we've got to do everything to make sure that, you know, a player going through that transition period is you know, taken care of and looked after, and things are okay. It's not just again, it's not just about the on ice product and working on your stick handling, skating, and shooting. It's making sure that these guys are in a good place mentally in their life, that and if they are, you're going to get their best performance.
Billy, I'd like to switch to, this year has been obviously a big workload for you with the Olympics coming up in a few weeks. I don't want to know about the why, but I want to know how about the how. How did that start? Like the first day you sit down, it's like, all right, I got to build a team here. I got to build it. And there's a ton of amazing players in the US. How does it start? Who went around? Like, what's the team that you kind of build around you? And what were the steps that you kind of narrowed down to get to that team that you have right now for the US?
Yeah, well, like you know, I mean, we have a ton of good players. Our player pool has really expanded over the last 25 years. And we start from there. We start with everybody on a big spreadsheet and just kind of start whittling it down. It's been a 2-year process because we had to pick a team for the Four Nations as well. And it's just a continual thing, watching who's playing well, watching who's growing, watching who's kind of falling off, things like that. But, it's been a really enjoyable process. I have a lot of help. We have a really good group. Chris Kelleher, Stan Bowman, Tom Fitzgerald, Chris Drury, Billy Zito, everybody at USA Hockey. It's a really tight-knit group. And, it's just been, to talk about the players that we're talking about and putting them on one team is pretty cool.
Matt?
Billy, I got to ask here. I know we're not supposed to talk about the players that are not on the team, but you just acquired him and named him to the Olympic team. You seem to be liking smaller offensive defensemen. I see one play every day. How does Quinn Hughes make it so unbelievable? You don't have to talk about Lane Hudson. I've named him. But, how can smaller defensemen in 2026 not only survive, but thrive in today's NHL?
Well, I think you see guys like Quinn, like Lane Hudson, who are elite players, and they're I don't like to call them small. They're undersized a bit, or not as big as the other guys, but they're shorter. But their brain, they're just smart. And when you're smart, like we have Jared Spurgeon. He's one of the smartest players I've ever seen. Quinn is extremely smart. Lane Hudson, extremely smart. That's how they do it. They're one step ahead, and that's just what it really is. And they see plays, they can make it. They move the puck up. They create offense by coming out of your own end. They're extremely bright players.
Billy, thanks a lot. Bruno, I'll let you. Bruno, je te laisse la dernière question.
Well, I have my friend here. Quick one, Billy, and we'll talk about mental health of the GM and the coaching staff. I want to know a little bit your vision on the playoff format. Are you happy with this playoff format, or would you like to go back to a 1 versus 8 or 1 versus 16 in this year where it's crazy, where the best 3 teams in the league are in the same division? That's cruelty, no?
Yeah, I think we could look at change for sure. So you know what? I some days I'm like, we should definitely change it, and then some days I'm like, it doesn't really matter because it's going to go year to year. Who's really good? Who's not? Who's having a bad year? Who's having a good year? The thing I will say is, if you're the 1 seed and you're going to play the 8, how much difference really is there? Like this league is so tight. It's so good. There are no off nights. And, you see it all the time, that the teams that are, not as strong or, they beat the teams at the top. So be careful what you wish for, So to me, this is the way it's structured. This is how we'll deal with it. I try not to worry too much about that stuff.
Bill, thanks a lot for taking the time. As I said earlier, I know you are a busy man, so very appreciate for you to taking the time, and we all wish you best of luck till the end of the year.
Merci. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Billy.